I'm Fian Wright, your China Dream coach for entrepreneurs and executives. Welcome to Season 1 of the Your China Dream Virtual Summit. In this episode, we have Lukas Hlavac, co-founder of 3 companies, Unreal Holiday, Lily Madonna, and Ulala. He managed to raise $1 million from Chinese and foreign investors and is on a quest to prove that foreigners can succeed in China. Let's hear his story and advice to see how you can be one of them.
So I'm Lukas from Ulala, and my number 1 tip for achieving your China dream is to make clear what is your long-term competitive advantage in China. And why? Because in China you will not be the fastest, you most likely will not be the most hardworking, you also will not have the best connections, and you will not have the best access to capital. So you need to really be clear what is it that you have that nobody else has, and how can you protect this advantage in the long run.
Thanks for talking to me today, Lukas. It's a pleasure to meet you face to face.
Thank you very much for the invitation. I'm glad to also be here.
Yeah, so I wanted to start with, maybe for the people who are watching who don't know who you are, don't know your work, if you could do maybe a quick self-introduction, who you are, what it is that you do here in China.
Cool. So I'm Lukas, and I'm co-founder of Ulala. I've been in China for almost 10 years now. I came in 2009 to Beijing, and I have worked in different places across China, including Shanghai, then in Hong Kong as well. And I have been based here in Shenzhen for the last 3 or 4 years. I have started Ulala with Steve, who is not here with us today, around 3.5 years ago. And Ulala focus on cross-border e-commerce between China and other countries in Asia, mainly with focus on independent fashion labels. So we focus on that cross-border aspect, so that we are trying to make the cross-border buying experience as smooth as possible. So basically Chinese customers can buy fashion products directly from the brands in other Asian countries like South Korea, Thailand, Vietnam, and so on. And we are also, now we opened second office in Vietnam, so we are bringing the same experience of very smooth, seamless cross-border shopping experience to customers in Vietnam.
Why did you come here to China in the first place, and then why did you decide to stay?
I mean, the first I came as intern. Back then I was mainly focused on computer science, so I worked as an IT project manager in a French IT company based in Beijing. And after that I came back to Czech Republic for around 1 year. I finished my master in business administration, and I was looking for new opportunities. And back then it just turned out that there were more opportunities here in China than back in Czech Republic. You know, especially after the 2008, it was still quite slow in Europe. So I found very interesting opportunity for like high-end lifestyle product company here in China, and I worked them in the beginning as a project manager, and later as a business development manager.
And so you worked in that area for
another over 4 years before I started Ulala.
And so how did that transition happen, right, from working in a company to setting up your own company? How did that decision happen, that you actually decided, I'm going to set up my own thing? And then what was the process like to go from being an employee to being an entrepreneur here in China?
It was, I mean, like the first, I really enjoyed working for the previous company. It was very exciting because we worked on large-scale hospitality projects mainly. So we did really exciting projects like Ritz-Carlton in Hong Kong, Shangri-La Jing'an. So it was a chance to really do I would say, the big business. Yeah, I was presenting to the directors of groups like Wanda or Wangke. I had a chance to really negotiate quite a big deals with leading Chinese real estate developers, which was very interesting experience for me at like fairly young age, to try to convince these senior entrepreneur, like senior business representative from these big companies to do deals with us. But like, I mean, after some time, I just felt that I already learned what I can learn from that specific position, and I wanted to try something else. I was considering starting my own business, and then on one day, me and Steve, we joined the Google Startup Weekend. I was still working for my previous company back then, and we just had a weekend in Shenzhen. As there were very few foreign teams, it was mainly all in Chinese, and we became one of the top teams, and there at that situation, we got a lot of interest from angel investors. It was like back in 2000, I think, 14, and back then it was very easy to raise money in China. You could just raise money with basically a presentation, and then we get offer from angel investor that offered us, I think back then was 150,000 US. We considered the offer, and then I decided to, after the deal was done, a couple months later, I decided to quit my full-time job, and we basically closed the deal and started to work full-time on the project.
So before you came to China, what were some assumptions or perceptions you had of what China was like? And then as you've been here over the last decade what has changed? How has your understanding changed?
It's a very interesting question. I think, most people that come to China are very naive. So I was also very naive. I think, we say now that in China everything is possible, but nothing is easy. And before I really started my own business, I didn't realize how difficult some things could be. Back then when we started, we just thought, okay, we were very enthusiastic, and we think, okay, we have a great idea, we will work hard, we get investment, and we will just make it happen. But it's not that easy. You need to really be clear, and I know it now that, China is maybe the most competitive market in the world. Chinese works, the Chinese in the startups, they work 6 hours, 6 days a week, 18 hours a day. They are very committed, they understand the local market, they have access to funding, much better access to funding than foreigners in China. So you need to really have very strong competitive advantage over them. And you need to really think about it, what is it coming from? Or do you have some core technology? Or as a foreigner, you may bring something that comes out from that international or cross-border aspect. Because I still see, besides very high-tech areas where still the foreigners may have some cutting-edge technology and so on, like in Czech Republic, we are very strong with nanofibers and polymers. So there are some areas where we can really bring this high technology and offer superior products. But this is another area that you need to really already have it, On the other hand, I still think that the Chinese are especially in Chinese market, they are extremely strong, but there is still one area where foreigners have slight edge for now, and this is able to create a connection with businesses abroad. Really to come in. For us, for Vulala, it was very important that we were able to form a relationship with the fashion brands across Asia, in South Korea, in Thailand, in Indonesia, in Vietnam, and we were able to come in and we were able to negotiate with them good terms and build a very good relationships. And we really noticed that for Chinese competitors, this was very difficult. For various reasons, just they don't have as much experience in doing this kind of international deals, international business. Also, there is a lot of mistrust in the other countries towards Chinese entrepreneurs or Chinese businesses. So we realized that this is where we have the edge. And this is where we started to build our business and really focusing on this cross-border e-commerce. When we started, we just wanted to work with KOLs. We had a lot of local Chinese brands, but soon we realized this is not the way to go, and we were looking for that competitive advantage. And you really need to be very clear about what it is.
Many years that you've been here in China, including the years as an entrepreneur and before that, what would you say are some of the obstacles, some of the challenges that you've come across personally, and how did you overcome them?
Okay, so we can start first. I still, even until nowadays, I find it very difficult to form a very close relationship with Chinese. My wife is Chinese. I speak fluent Chinese, but I still find it very hard, very challenging to really build very open and very close relationship with people in China. I have very few very good friends that are Chinese, and I find it extremely challenging. Yeah, so, but this is something that until now, I didn't really manage to overcome that issue. So I'm very much open, I have been doing business with Chinese. I have had Chinese friends that we share similar hobbies. We go to gym and so on. But I still, until today, I find it difficult to create the same kind of deep, close friendships with people in China. And this is not because I don't want. It's just not happening. So this is one of the challenges that I think most people will face, and it's also then have a consequences for business, because of course in business you need to build the network, you need to build the guanxi, how they say, and it's much more difficult to build powerful guanxi for foreign entrepreneurs in China. So this is one thing.
Yeah. Are there any other?
Obstacles? Then the other obstacles, of course, for doing business especially is the legal framework, because of course as a foreign company you need to make sure you are compliant. And this is also very challenging, because for a local Chinese company, they are often non-compliant and they are taking the risk. For a foreign entrepreneur, it's much more difficult. So we always have a full focus on being compliant. And the legal system and regulation in China is very often less transparent. And a lot of things are not explicitly stated on publicly accessible resources. So we spend a lot of resources in ensuring that we are compliant and that we know how to really obtain all the licenses we need. We trying to find out what are the steps necessary to achieve the success in obtaining those licenses. So I think for this it's very important to find a very strong local agent that really have experience and can help you to sort these things out. Because as a foreign company, even if you have a foreign people in the team, Chinese people in the team is not enough. You need somebody who has the guanxi that you don't have. And this actually comes to the first question after all. As it's more difficult for foreigners to build the good network here, they need to find somebody who has the network already and have the right connections that can help you in this area. Because there's also always will be a deficiency for foreigners here. So you need to find the right people to help you to sort it out.
And so in terms of setting up your business and deciding what specific area you're going into, you mentioned the competition where you and Steve started. How did you come upon the niche that you were going to get into in China? And then how has that shifted and changed over time with what the markets actually demand?
Yeah, this is one of the very challenging things in China because China is changing very fast. And also the other Chinese companies are very fast in changing and adapting to the new market trends. So this is extremely challenging. It's not that you build your business and it stays the same and you just make your money and retire. It doesn't work like this in China. So there's a huge speed of change and innovation. Everybody is learning from everybody on the market. So whenever we came with some cool innovations, within 1-2 months, you can see the competitors have the same function. So it never stops. You always need to keep going forward until you find something that you can protect to some extent. So when we started, we were basically like a social e-commerce that is very similar to maybe the Xiaohongshu Red, or back then was Mogujie. Was Mushroom Street. So we were just very basic social e-commerce, but we soon realized that there is no competitive advantage for us. And we really learned very quickly through a traditional lean startup methodology, just trying, testing, and changing all the time. So we built assumptions, we tested these assumptions, we implemented them, and then based on the results we decided to keep it or to move on. So it's a never-ending process of building new assumptions, coming with new innovations, testing them on the market, and then deciding if keep them or move forward. And this cycle is extremely fast in China. So it's never-ending race with the competitors, and also like yourself trying to come up with new features and new things how to move forward. For us, the very good move was when we really focus on that cross-border aspect, and like we established direct relationships with the designers in those countries, because we find out that we can build trust with them, and we are good at doing this. We are better than the other players on the market. If people want to find out more about what you do, they want to sort of check out your work, what's the best place online to find you or to reach out? Everybody can search for my name, Lukas Hlavac, on LinkedIn. I'm connected there. I also read the messages, although not every day. And they can also search in Google or join. I have my personal website, which is www.lukashlavac.com.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Lukas. Appreciate your time.
Thanks.